Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Ivonne Chavez, also known as Chiribo. And today I will be talking about our new data resource. Yes, exactly. I will be talking about Azure Synapse Analytics and how it's changing our data world. Let me introduce myself, of course. Right now, I'm working as Azure Technical Trainer at Microsoft and have more than 12 years of experience in data analytics, AI, cloud, and development. I'm international technical speaker and hackathon enthusiast. I love to study because I have more than 2,000 training. Yes, I know it's insane, but I really have more than 2,000 training, certification, and workshops about many technologies. I love to study. And as a millennial, I have presence in social media, so let's connect and be notified of other events and updates of technology. So let's start. Data is the blood of the companies, okay? Nowadays, we know that data is the blood of each company around the world. Why? Because the companies are generating teras and teras of info, and without info, the decision maker will guess what could happen. So sometimes people think that data warehouses are something brand new, but really not. Data warehouses have more than 30 years being part of our data architectures. Of course, data warehouse changed since its born, but they modernized it to keep currently until today. For example, 20 years ago, the data warehouses were installed on premises inside companies' buildings, for example, configured and managed by the DBA team. But now, consider to install a data warehouse of new project on-prem is not an option. Like in more than 80% of company is completely not an option. The new projects are cloud oriented. All companies have data, so all business are data business. From a small corner market with online billing to the largest supermarkets, all run on data because data makes business possible. By the way, a small or an enterprise company needs to extract insights of its data because a company that doesn't use, manage, govern, and secure its data will not survive in the new economy. Okay, you already know the value of data, but it's a must to know thyself because without analytics, data is just a spend of money. It's just storage. So you should guarantee to create dashboard and reports, at least with the current state of that business. Analytics are so important, but you can boost using data science that has depth and scale beyond the abilities that a human analyst has. Using data science can level up the business. If you include artificial intelligence, you will enjoy drive autonomous process and decision for smart organizations. Hmm. Architectures before Azure Synapse Analytics. Now, let's describe how a data warehouse serves a business through this simple architectural diagram. The modern data warehouse sits at the heart of the enterprise analytics as a source of data, a system of record, and as hubs, business intelligence, and data science, for example. About the source, as an enterprise system of record for business processes, the data warehouse is mostly built over a line of business data sources. So data is unstructured, structured, or semi-structured. The modern data warehouse can handle it. So can has on-prem data, cloud data, devices data, and software as a service data. After defining the sources, the architecture has to start the ingestion and the prep. Azure Data Factory schedules and orchestrates data transformation and book logs. Meanwhile, Azure Databricks performs transformation specifically for data science and also build and execute models. Then that data should be stored. Okay, it can store in the Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and every architecture needs Azure Data Lake. Okay, because it may use to store raw data in high volume for later use, along with the staging transforming data from Azure Databricks, for example. And finally, reporting. We need to visualize info. Microsoft Power BI consumes enterprise data from the data warehouse for reporting and analytics, but may also use data from Data Lake for ad hoc analysis and integrating with data science. Okay, after Azure Synapse Analytics. Now, we have brought a new end-to-end analytics platform that brings together data ingestion, big data, and data warehousing into a single unified service, just Azure Synapse Analytics. Not only are these critical parts fully integrated and managed, but there is also deep native integration with Azure Machine Learning services and Power BI. Finally, is an end-to-end analytics platform that brings the critical function of a data warehouse to be in the same environment as other tasks. Okay, but what is it? A limitless analytics service with unmatched time to insight that deliver insights from all your data across data warehouses and big data analytics system with amazing speed. Simple put, Azure Synapse is Azure SQL Data Warehouse evolved. It truly enables next-level analytics, has different key services capability like unified analytics platform, serverless and dedicated options, enterprise data warehousing, data lake exploration. You can choose the language for the different queries, has integrated AI and BI. You can management and monitoring all the process. So, as I mentioned, Azure Synapse Analytics is a great resource when we work with enterprise data warehouses and big data analytics. Now you can choose, for example, where you run your SQL queries. You can use dedicated or serverless resources, for example. I can summarize that that permits to have a unified experience to ingest, prepare, manage, and serve for BI, analytics, and machine learning needs. Basically, Azure Synapse Analytics has 4 components: Azure Synapse SQL, Azure Spark for Synapse, Azure Synapse Pipeline, and Azure Synapse Studio. Okay, about Synapse SQL. It is a distributed query system that enables enterprise to implement data warehousing and data virtualization scenarios using a standard SQL experience that are already familiar to data engineers. It also offers both serverless and provisioned resources models. About Azure Spark for Synapse, it deeply and simply integrates Apache Spark, the most popular open source big data engine, used for data preparation, data engineering, ETL, and machine learning. A simplified resource model frees you from having to worry about managing cluster, and it is fabulous, okay? While allowing for fast startup of Spark and aggressive auto-scaling, okay? About Azure Pipeline, it comes built in using the same data integration engine and experience as Azure Data Factory, allowing you to create rich data pipeline without using a separate orchestrating engines. It enables code-free ETL with data flows activities. The last component, Azure Synapse Analytics, it is the web-native experience that ties everything together for data engineers. Okay, this studio is the best part of Azure Synapse Analytics because allow to do every task needed to build a complete solution all in one location. Okay, let's talk more about Azure Synapse SQL. Azure Synapse SQL can prioritize a query workload using workload management that involves basically three components: workload groups, workload classification, and workload importance. Okay, to define how Azure Synapse SQL execute the different queries. As to types, serverless and SQL pool. Serverless SQL pool and dedicated SQL pool. Let's talk about each one. The first one is an interactive query service that provides the SQL queries over high scale in Azure storage. Okay, the serverless SQL pool has no infrastructure, pay only for the query execution, no ETL, includes security, integrate with other resources like Databricks, HD Insights, and support data in different formats like Parquet, CSV, JSON, TXT, and Parquet. The mainly objective of serverless SQL pool is discovery and exploration, and also data transformation. For example, answer a question like what is in the file, how many rows are there, has headers, is there the information that I expected? Also, transform raw data or convert from a format file to another like TXT to Parquet, and then store in an Azure data lake. About dedicated SQL pool, okay, the second one that I mentioned is the evolved Azure SQL data warehouse. It also uses the data warehouse unit as a bundle measure to define CPU, memory, and IOs. We can say that it's a centralized data warehouse store that provides a relational analytics and decision support services across the whole enterprise. It uses massively parallel processing, also known as MPP, to process queries using the control node and the compute node that control node define. Also, you can define the table distribution as your table needs, like round robin, hash distributed, or replicating table. Inside of Azure Synapse SQL has a strong and consistent security. Many features that are, for example, data protection with data encryption at rest and in transit. Okay, we protect all the states of the data. Access control with row and column level security, and also dynamic data masking. Authentication using Azure Active Directory, and integration multi-factor authentication. About networking, you can configure the firewall, the threat detection, and also you can integrate with your Azure Expert Route if you need, okay? If your project needs an Expert Route, you can integrate. Also has auditing and vulnerability assessments, okay? So you can know what is happening in your resource, and if it has something that is weak, you can get stronger reading and applying the recommendation of the different assessments. Okay, Azure Spark for Synapse is Apache Spark with added support for integration with other services. Okay, Microsoft services like Azure Active Directory, Azure Machine Learning, and additional libraries like MS Spark Utils, Hummingbirds, and pre-tuned performance configuration. It's important to consider that any workload that is currently running on Apache Spark will run on Apache Spark for Azure Synapse Analytics without change. The Spark pools in Azure Synapse offer a full managed Spark service. So it has the following benefits. Speed and efficiency. I mean, for example, to start 60 nodes, it's like 2 minutes. And if your project needs more than 60 nodes, it's like 5 minutes to create and start the engine. So I think that is very quickly. Has an easy of creation and use because you can create a new Spark pool in minutes, and you can use the portal, the Azure portal, Azure PowerShell, Synapse Analytics.NET SDK to do from scratch using Visual Studio and code, for example. And you can create that pool in Synapse Analytics Studio. It maintains the notebooks to develop, the cluster as compute, and jobs to execute notebooks as components of Azure Spark for Synapse. Okay, Azure Synapse pipelines. In Azure Synapse Analytics, the data integration capability, such as Synapse pipelines and data flows, are based upon those of Azure Data Factory. So has more than 85, 90 pre-built connector for data integration. So allows easily cross-platform data migration. You can mapping data flow with a code-free transformation at scale. And finally, my favorite component, I have to confess, I think that is the best component of Azure Synapse Analytics, the Azure Synapse Studio. It is a collaborative interface development environment where different roles data related can work together using features like Synapse Live and Git integration, and enjoy the 5 different sections that has like data, develop, integrate, monitor, and manage. All those options exactly in the same place, all in one. About data section is where you can link your Azure Synapse Analytics dedicated SQL pools, create an integration data set, and connect to external data. In the Developer Hub, you can work with SQL script, notebooks Spark-based, data flow, and Spark jobs. About Integrate Hub, in this section, you have all the components of Azure Synapse pipeline, except data flow, that belongs to develop in the Azure Synapse Studio structure. More administrative section, the monitor and manage. The monitor hub basically monitor the pipelines, the triggers that runs, integration runtime too. You can monitor how was the activity that was executed as Apache Spark app or SQL request or data flow debug. Also, you can monitor the pools, okay, the SQL pools and the Apache Spark pools. And of course, has a manage section. This is the completely administrative section. Here you can create new analytic pools, create external connections, create integration, and also configure the security, all the security, the integration with all the roles and everything, all the stuff of security, the code libraries, and the Git configuration. To use the Git configuration, you just need to previously have an Azure DevOps account, and that is the repository already created to just link it. And because of the topics covered, Azure Synapse Analytics is changing our data world, okay? At this point, we covered a lot of features, components, and many things that you can do with Azure Synapse Analytics. So let's go to the demo, okay? Let's go to the Azure portal. Okay. Here is the Synapse workspace, okay? We will create a Synapse workspace. Here you just have to select the subscription, then the resource group, the manage resource group name, okay, manage resource group. A quick tip, if you mouse over this, you can read a little information related of the configuration that you are doing. Then here the workspace, then the region. You have to create an account. Okay, I forgot. Perfect. Then you have to create a file system name. Okay. Here, if you click, you are assigned a storage blob data contributor role on the data lake that you are creating in this step. Okay. Here, security is so important. Okay. The user password. Okay, here if you have a key, customized key in Azure Key Vault and you want to enable double encryption, you just click here and select your Azure Key Vault. Okay. Then the networking. If you click here, you are going to allow connection from all IP addresses. If it's a production environment, I prefer to don't select, but this is a demo, so let's see in that way. Then the tags are so important to define the different resources, and I can identify the project, the company, and whatever I want, because this is just a key value section. Okay, you can here in name or value set everything that you want. Then review and create, perfect, and that's it. Here, like a kitchen recipe, I have a workspace already created. Okay, this workspace, TD Global Azure. Okay, here you are seeing the landing page. Okay, the section here of the different hubs: data, develop, integrate, monitor, manage. Okay, it's basically data where you can link all the data resources like dedicated SQL pool, integration data set, external data, develop all the scripting, integrate all about ingesting transformation, and monitor and manage all the administrative tasks. Okay, let's see one by one. Your data, you can see workspace, okay? The different database that you have inside of this workspace. In this case, I have this dedicated SQL pool, okay? Here I have an external table, external resources that I created from an integration data set that you can use here, integration data set, and create one from Azure, different databases, from a file, using generic protocol, NoSQL, and other software as a service. Here I use this. You can create a select. You can create an external table, okay? Here is very easy. You can create an external table, dedicated SQL pool, just give a name. Okay. And here, create the script that you have to execute, and that's it. Okay. Here is the format. Okay. External file format. Here is the external data source. and then create the external table based in the external data source and external file format. And here in the dedicated SQL pool, you can see the external data sources and the file format that are external. And then just created this external table, okay? In a single step, okay? It's not very complicated to create external table using the wizard, okay? Let's see what else. This Azure Blob Storage is used to storage all the data sets. This Azure Data Lake storage is for all information that your workspace needs to storage. And then here, many integration data sets that you can use from here, from the browse gallery. Here you have different data sets that you can use to discovery, classification, interact, basically practice the technology. This is all the things about data. Then in the develop, I have here a couple, many scripts here of demo. The first one is of another external table. Here you can select serverless dedicated pool based on SQL. Then I have a notebook that is using a built-in SQL tool. And here you can see the results in table and in chart form. Here a message that it was executed successfully. Then here you can see a notebook, okay? Here is just a data frame, okay? From the integration data set that I'm using. And also, okay, is based on a Spark. I can select the pool, the language that I'm using. Here I'm using just the code block, but I also can use the markdown to write about this is a demo for Global Azure. Okay. And that's it, okay. This is all about develop, then in integrate. It's so similar than Azure Data Factory. Here I create this simple copy data. I just have a source. I select a data set. Here you can preview data exactly as you do in Azure Data Factory, async, okay? And then you just debug, run, and that's it, okay? You can here use notebooks from Synapse. You can use basic move and transform, data flow also, Azure Data Explorer, the general, the basics, okay, custom lookup, store procedures, machine learning, iterations, and also HD insights, okay? Okay, perfect. Then in the monitor, we can learn more about the resources. Okay, here the integration. Okay, the pipeline runs. Here the failed, the status, the succeed. In the failed, I can see the error. Okay, that is, I think there is a problem with the permissions. And that's it, okay? I can click here and see more information about it. The input, okay? The output. And here I can see the throughput, the copy duration, how many data was read and written, the files, the rows, everything. I also can check the data consistent verification just to enable in the process. Then here in the trigger runs, I have anything here because I don't have a trigger. The integration runtimes, remember that we have two, the auto-resolve integration runtime to Azure environment and the self-hosted integration runtime that is for on-prem, okay? Then here the Apache Spark applications, okay? The session that I have, okay? This session was stopped and this other is running. There's different SQL requests, okay, that I create here, select. Okay, here is a copy of the query that I executed. The duration, let's execute more, okay, perfect. The pools, about the pools, I can click here and see the health, the status, how many running requests, what is my DW limit, active request, if it's something running, the same for Apache Spark pool, okay? Current allocation, running application, sessions, and before allocation active, okay. You can here see many information about the Apache Spark. And then in the Manage Hub, you can create, okay? Here I can create a new dedicated SQL pool. It's not necessary to go to the portal. I can do directly in Azure Synapse Analytics Studio. Then I can create more Apache Spark pool here directly, okay? Linked service. I have many here. You can, I don't know, create a linked service with Azure Data Lake Store. Give here a name and then the subscription, this, a test connection. Then that's it. Was created a new linked service. Okay, you can connect to the new Azure Purview. Here, Azure Purview is a semantic for the data. Is a new resource that right now is in preview time, in a public preview, and help to discover all the data that you have. You can tag the data and also all about compliance, okay? Then here you can set a new triggers, you can set a new integration runtime, the access controls, okay? Service principal, my user, okay? And role, Synapse administrator. More about credentials, I can create my personal credential. What I can do, I don't know, I can create my service principal, link it. I can use my Azure Key Vault too, okay? Just providing the circuit name. Here I can upload the different workspace packages for Apache Spark. And finally, the Git configuration. So, okay, it's important. Remember always to publish all the data. Okay, I have one notebook that is not working to do this. Okay, I can just say that I don't want to save them. Okay, delete. Yes, bye-bye. Just publish. Notebook, notebook 2, okay. Notebook, bye-bye. Thanks, perfect. Publishing. Hey, I think I got this. Give me a second. Publishing. Because we have to publish everything before configure the Git, okay? Discard all the changes. here you can select Azure DevOps or GitHub, okay? Here you have the Synapse Live. Here you also can set up the code repository, okay? It's like a shortcut. And what else? Here you can see many topics and blogs of the community. And here, for example, in the integration, you can use in the gallery different pipelines that they are pre-built, okay, and ready to use. For example, here a bulk copy from a database. Just you have to select what is the external control table, what is the data source and the data destination, and that's it. It's already configured. What else? If you have Netitsa, Oracle, on-premise, okay, you can use this pipeline that are already created and ready to use. Here also the scripts. You have different scripts. How to export data using CTAs, how grant access to a user, queries CSVs. We have here many scripts, and the same for the notebooks. Have notebooks. My favorite one is this data exploration and machine learning modeling using the New York City Taxi Predict. Okay, is using the MLIF from Spark. Okay, and basically this is Azure Synapse Analytics Studio. Is an all-in-one experience. I enjoy a lot this resource. I prefer this because I can do everything that I need in a single place, okay? So that is the demo. I hope that you learn a lot about Azure Synapse Analytics. And that's it. Let's continue with the presentation. Again, here are all my social media contacts. I will be happy to have all of you being part of them. So let's connect. Thank you. Thank you very much to your attention and keep enjoying the Global Azure. Bye-bye. See you in my social media.